Live. Hello, everyone. My name is James Kennedy. I am the CEO and partner manager at a company called Procurement Express. I'd like to welcome you all here. This is a webinar that we are doing in partnership with Quintadena, which is one of the world's leading providers of the QuoteWorks product. I am joined on the phone here today by Brandon Haycock, who many of you may know. So Brandon, I hope you can hear us.
I can do, James. Thank you for that introduction. Hello, everyone. So I'm just having this demonstration with James today just to show you one of the new offerings that we're hoping to take forward, even more so than we do now with our clients. Because as we know, with QuoteWorks users being from the UK, more specifically, QuoteWorks doesn't really handle the purchasing side as efficiently as it does the quoting side. And we are always trying to push the benefits of having specialist software for each business process. So, for example, we have QuoteWorks for the quoting side and specialist CRM systems for our contact side. So why not have a purchasing arm to us as well? And that's hopefully what Procurement Express is going to be. So James is with me here today just to actually demonstrate his product. And then, of course, that's something that after the demonstration, I can see in the comments, if you're able to put any questions in there you may have that you'd like answered at the end of the session, we'd be absolutely happy to visit those as a Q&A towards the end. And if there's anything that you want to ask us specifically about your company and how Procurement Express can fit in with that, we are happy to have one-on-one demonstrations upon being scheduled. And if that's of interest, you can contact us on sales@quintadena.com and we'd be happy to get something scheduled in for you. So what I will do, I'll let James take it away for us then, and he'll show you his excellent product. Over to you, James.
Great, thanks for that, Brandon. Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. I mean, I think QuoteWorks and Procurement Express are like yin and yang, the yolk and the yellow of an egg, or the Sonny and Cher maybe even, because QuoteWorks can help you get more work in, make sure you're quoting it correctly, making sure you're closing more deals. So that's, number of transactions. But then the second half of that is actually provisioning that service at a profit, which at the end of the day, what it's all about. So I think that's why this partnership is pretty exciting. The power of being organized, closing more proposals, having your proposals organized, improving your close rate, all that sort of stuff, combining that with the ops side then, bringing their side to the table of delighting customers while at the same time protecting margins and making sure that we're achieving the profit that we want to. So my objective in this presentation is to introduce you to some of the tools that you can use with Procurement Express to help you achieve that. I'm going to start off by explaining, some of the problems that we solved, just to make sure you guys can see. You can see that, what the problems that we solve are maybe some of the issues that you're having. I'll explain the benefits, and I'm going to run through a brief introduction to the software itself, give you a look and feel. Everything I'm going to show you today, is available online. So it's a SaaS product, what we call a SaaS product, something that lives in the cloud. But also it's all on your mobile as well. So even if you have people who are not necessarily in the same office or in different locations, you can access everything I'm going to show you here today on Android or iOS. That's Apple. So let me get started by sharing my screen here. And I am just going to pull this up in a second. So I should have some interlude music or something when I manage that, but I found it. Great, panic over. So let's just have an introduction to what Procurement Express is and why should you care. So let's start off with the problem that we solve. Well, you could be interested in Procurement Express if some of your projects are out of control or not being profitable enough. You may be going over budget. Your existing accountancy software doesn't really help you when it comes to protecting budgets and protecting against lower profits. I like to think of accountancy software as very much this sort of post-mortem. They will tell you, your accountant and your accountancy software will tell you 6 months later that you didn't make a profit last year. But what you really want something is to guard against those everyday spending mistakes that every company makes that really eat into profit, and also sap the productivity of your team, because it can be so hard. You're spending so much time trying to organize your purchasing. And we see this all the time. And before people start using Procurement Express, orders and ordering from suppliers and maintaining budgets is all buried in a massive email somewhere. And if you're in an industry where audits are important, that can be a nightmare later on. But either way, even if you're not, a sort of disorganized purchasing process can lead to slow purchasing and also unprofitable purchasing. Easy spending mistakes are made. Of course, people are trying to solve this problem already. You probably have already some kind of spreadsheet where you have a list of suppliers and their bank payment details and so on. You may be trying to use a paper-based purchase order book, and if you all work in a single office, for example, that can work very well. A traditional sort of carbon copy book works well, but it really breaks down if you have a number of offices or a number of different people needing to make purchases, because the book gets lost and it gets trod on. If you're in construction, for example, it gets lost in the back of somebody's car and so on. Of course, you can use spreadsheets as well, and you have some very good online spreadsheet solutions these days. But spreadsheets, we all know, get corrupted, they get unwieldy after a while, and it can cause more trouble than they say sometimes. There are, of course, procurement solutions in the purview of big companies, quote unquote, big companies, ERP solutions as they are called, like SAP and some of these other solutions have a procurement module. It's pretty typically a not very well developed module. It doesn't have mobile access. And of course, it's expensive to implement and has lengthy implementation time. So the big question is, how do you control company spending and accelerate purchasing, all while customized to your needs, share data with your favorite apps, all within your budget? Well, perhaps you should consider procurementexpress.com. Just before I go into the product itself, I just want to emphasize a few points. One of the reasons that Quintadena has chosen to partner with us is the reviews that we get online for our software. We have both professional, experts' choice reviews from Finances Online and other websites, but my favorite type of reviews from our customer itself. And if you Google, you'll see that we have 5 times more positive, happy customer reviews than our closest competitor. And I'll talk a little bit about some alternatives later on, but really what's really important here is that we are very successful at what we do, and most importantly, our customers love us and we love our customers. And that's something that's really, really important to us, and we put a lot of emphasis on. Our customers, while we do have some of this big, I see some nice logos down here, ABC Television, Clarence Cosmetics, UNICEF, ISS, and so on. Really, most of our customers are sort of 20 to 200 employees, sort of the M in SMB or SME, and they'll, typically work across a number of offices. They might have branch offices, and they just got a bit too big for their local accountancy or their accountancy software. But they're too small to implement like a big ERP solution, and that's where we fit. So why is our solution the best solution? Well, we're one of the best. We offer some of the best spend control. 1 in 10 times a company tries to spend money, it will make some kind of mistake. It will pay for the same thing twice. It will pay more than was quoted originally. It will pay for something that was never delivered. And we don't like, or will pay. We don't like to often think about this, but all companies make these mistakes. I can guarantee that for you, and that really eats into the profitability and the bottom line. We cut all of those everyday, common or garden, totally understandable spending mistakes. We stop them all dead. And typically that means that you'll return about 10% of whatever you're spending through the company to your bottom line. So 1 in 10 purchases has some sort of spending mistake, and we restore that directly to your bottom line. As you'll see, we have an excellent workflow engine, which allows you to customize who should approve what type of expense and so on. We have the industry's most customizable interface, and I'll show you that in a second. We have the most integrations with over 700 different apps in connecting with our app. And we have the industry's best support. Now, I know you have heard that last point a number of times, so I like to back that up with a couple of stats for you. One is every morning I get reported our average response time to customer queries, which this morning was 2 minutes, and our average resolution time is 1 hour. So on average, if you have an issue, we will solve it within 1 hour on average, and that's something that's very important to us. Second thing is, your customers and yourselves, we don't all work regular hours, so there are builders, bakers, candlestick makers out there. So we offer support 24 hours a day. So even if you're in an industry that starts somewhat earlier than the rest of us, construction, for example, or if you work late into the night, there's always someone available on live chat and telephone anytime of the day you need our help. Okay, so that's the reasons to buy, if you like, but then let me just give you a high-level introduction to the product itself. So let me skip over here, if I can find it, in one of the many tabs I've set up. Here we are. Okay, so what I've done here is I've set up an instance with just myself and Brandon in it. And this is the user interface. This is as complicated as it gets, which is one of the key selling points. You'll see that I've set, if I skip over to employees here, what I've done is I've set myself up as sort of a finance user, which means that I can see everything within the app. I can export everything. I have access to a dashboard. I can see what our spending is like and so on. And I set Brandon up as a team member. So that means that he doesn't see everyone else's purchases. He only sees his own requests and what's been sent to him for approval. And let me show you how easy that can be. So let me switch over to Brandon's account now. I've just switched over to another browser. I hope you can see that. Maybe, Marno, you can confirm we're looking at the black browser here. And Marno is my assistant, and he's a little bit shy, so he's not saying anything. So, but okay, good. So this is the simplest form of what we have, and what I'm going to show you here is how it can be pretty simple, but then we can customize it a lot, and that's something that Brandon will be able to help you with to deal with your specific industry. So you can see here I've set up this instance so that I can either create a new supplier or I can pick an existing supplier. You can lock this down in your company, so if you only want to deal with approved suppliers, you can remove the ability to add new ones. Currently, I'm obsessed with bringing my family on a Disney cruise. Hellishly expensive and pretty crazy when your kids are 2 and 4 or 3 and 5 like mine. But anyway, that's what I'm working on at the moment. And so I have Disney cruises here. And let's say I want to go from Cove to New York for some reason. And then I'm going to pick the budget that I'm going to put this against. Now I have 2 budgets set up here. So I have one, so let's say it's for customer A. And how budgets are used here is typically, depends on what sort of industry you're in, and Brandon will be able to advise you on this further. But so let's say, for example, you're in something like an IT company where you're doing a rollout of, say, computers for a customer, or you have a list of customers that you just want to keep track of expenses against them. You can pick the budget for them, and you can set up different budgets, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. And once you set up those budgets, then you can also decide who signs off on them. So let's imagine that this cruise is going to set me back £900. I wish, let's make that £4,000, I think it's closer. And then I can send it off for approval. Now, the great thing about this is this can be done from anywhere, like I said, mobile device. So if I'm standing in a builder's providers on the side of the mountain, no matter where I am, it's that easy for me to send off a simple request. The system knows that Brandon doesn't have enough rights to approve this himself, although he could have, depending on how the approval routing is set up. And you can see that it's waiting for myself, James Kennedy, to sign off on that. Now, let me just switch over to my email here to see what I receive when Brandon requests us to spend some money. I'm just going to pull and open the right Gmail account here. And now you see what I'm going to show you here is that everything can be done from within email. So for example, here you see here's Brandon's request. I can see exactly what it's for. I can see, oh, it's a Disney cruise, and that might be nice for Brandon. He wants to go on a trip, £4,000. I can see exactly what budget it's against. I can see all of the other details on it. And from here, I can just accept or reject, or I can just comment on this. I could reply to it, say, no, not on your Nelly, my son, but I'm going to feel generous. I'm just going to approve this here. And you can see you can easily approve purchases from anywhere, from just your email. The reason we did this is actually one of the first customers we had for procurementexpress.com was a 70-year-old entrepreneur who ran a very successful cosmetics business in Ireland. And when he got to 60, he didn't decide to retire, but he hired an MD, a professional MD, to run the business while he went out selling to all of the different chemists around Ireland. And that MD, unfortunately, stole or embezzled about 150,000 euros worth of stock, and he's now sitting in prison for his endeavors. But bad news for him, good news for us was that it helped us to open our eyes to what we needed to build for our solution. So we needed a solution that 70-year-old owner didn't have to know about a login, didn't have to know anything else. He could just open up his email, see who wanted to spend what on why, reply to them here if he wanted to, or just approve or reject them without having to log into anything. This makes a rollout of the system very easy. We all know sometimes upper management don't have time to be fiddling around with new software. This means they don't even have to bother. They just get requests for everything they want to purchase in their email, and it's easy for them. So let me just switch back over here to my account. So you can see now from a finance perspective, when I log in, I can see in real time what the state of all my budgets are. So you can see that, okay, so for customer A rebrand, we have committed to spending £45,000 on this project so far. And I can see exactly I can see exactly there's £45,000 remaining on this project. And I can see what's been approved and what's pending. So what does that mean? Well, when an item is actually delivered, so let's say Brandon finishes his cruise, he decides to come in here, he can actually mark item as received. So when an item has been provisioned, when everything has been, the items are delivered, you can mark them as delivered. This lets the finance team know that this is safe to pay this invoice. And then the finance team can go ahead and mark this as paid. So you can either make a partial or full payment on a purchase. And now you can see the full lifetime of a purchase, all the way from request to approval to receiving the item. And then finally, at the same time, you get an overview of your budget here, so you can see exactly how your budget is on each project. What this means is that even, especially for projects that are run, you may be running a project, it might be finished for 3 weeks. You've already spent the champagne money, profit on a bottle of champagne somewhere, and lo and behold, a rogue invoice comes in and destroys the profitability of that job that you weren't planning for. What our software allows you to do is keep tight control of all those expenses. One of the really magical things, if you like, is once you adopt a purchase control policy like this, you can just tell your suppliers you won't pay for anything unless it's got a relevant purchase order number associated with it. And that really stamps out a lot of overspend. So suppliers know they can't bill you unless they have a purchase order for something. Now, that actually reminds me, there's one thing I skipped over here. I just want to go back to this, which is once something is approved, a purchase order or a purchase order document is generated. So let me show you what one of those looks like. So, and it gets emailed to the receiver. So you can see this PDF document that I'm downloading now is actually the purchase order that gets sent on to the supplier. You can also see a history here of this purchase. So for example, you can see when it was being approved, when it's been paid. If I want to attach any documentation here, let's say an invoice or a quote or 3 quotations or anything like that, it can all be done here. Now, I haven't really scratched the surface of how all this can be customized. Brandon, along with our team, will be able to customize to your heart's content. Basically, there's a lot we can do. We can add logos. We can set up different currencies. We can set up different departments. We can have all sorts of settings for suppliers in the purchase order itself. We can handle SKUs and stock and an inventory and a whole lot of stuff, but I'm not going to go into that for here. I think that's something best that Brandon picks up with you individually, or of course, I would always be able to talk to you if you need it. But let me just, for now, hopefully that's given you a flavor of the benefits of the software and what it can be done. So let me just switch back into the presentation here. You will, of course, be wondering, okay, well, this looks pretty good, I hope, but what other options are out there? Now, before Quintadena came on board as a partner, they reviewed this analysis of all of the competitors in the market. And this document is something that we have available for you as well. It lists out all the features comparing us with everyone else. And you'll see that the red splotches there basically represent the things that our competitors don't do. And that means that you can be confident when you select procurementexpress.com, you'll have all the functionality you need, because we have literally billions of dollars worth of spend under tight control with thousands of happy customers, and we know we will be able to do a great job for you. Of course, I would say that I'm paid to, but what I'd like to refer you to is our testimonials. I have a few of them here, but you can search for more of them online, and you can see about what existing customers are saying about us. And in fact, for your particular industry, if you want to reach out to Brandon, he'll be able to give you testimonials from people in your business type, which really can give you a bit of confidence. So that's good. So let me just wrap this up by saying, picture this, once you've implemented Procurement Express, you'll have no more spreadsheets or paper-based POs. Your company will finally have its spend under control. You'll have an efficient workflow process. You'll be connected to all your relevant apps, accounting apps, and so on. You'll be working within budget, imagine that. You'll be using the correct suppliers, and you'll eliminate a lot of double entry. You can now approve and reject POs immediately from any device, and life is good. So I'd like to throw the door open to a few questions here. I'm going to put you on the spot now, Brandon, but how do you think this could fit well with with the customers that you see?
It fits quite well in the fact that our clients are used to having a specialist software for the quoting side, and when it comes to the purchasing side and the procurement side, it tends to, or on the UK side anyway, tends to differ in usefulness between company to company. So the QuoteWorks purchasing module can be useful for some of our companies and some of our clients that we supply to, but it's not always useful to all. This is just another option that they can go down if purchasing is something that they want to look at, and it's something that we're happy to have one-on-one consultations with our clients to actually say, if this is something you are interested in, we'd like to have a serious discussion with you, understand how you want to go about using such a software, and then whether, of course, it can be done. Another thing is as well, the usefulness of having it on the web is outstanding, considering us QuoteWorks users have been waiting quite a while for the web version, because understandably when we're sending out quotes, it's not always the case that we're in the office, and if we need to get back to the office, there's of course that delay of travel that means that the client's getting their proposals later on. With this, it's something that you can do during travel. It's something that you can do from home if you ever have a sick day, things like that. And it's really useful in terms of keeping on top of your spending, and it has the facilities to actually link quite well with your quoting and making sure that you're able to provision services for the clients that you're hoping to sell to. So I'd say those are some of the big features. Of course, there's numerous amounts of other features that we'd be happy to discuss. Some of the features may be more useful to one company than it is the other. And that's why we're absolutely happy to, as we do with QuoteWorks, to provide a demonstration and really understand our clients' needs for it.
Yeah, I mean that's totally why we're working with Quintadena, because there's a fair bit of business consultancy that needs to be done, to really get the most out of the software. That's why it's great to have someone on the ground there to help with implementations and roll out the experience. Marnu, have we any other questions that have come in on the chat there?
Nope. No other questions.
We must have been so informative that we've anticipated all of the questions. I love it. Okay. All right. Well, I think what we're going to do after this webinar is, Brandon, we're going to give you the list of emails, and you're going to follow up and just see if anyone wants to do a further one-on-one to ask some questions in confidence, and we can move on from there. Is there anything else you'd like to cover, Brandon?
That's fine, and you're absolutely correct in saying that it is something that we want to have more one-on-one time with the people that have attended this webinar. So we'd be very grateful if you're able to send us an email to see if there's anything else that we can do. Of course, it's going to be something that is of interest to some and not to others, but if that's the case, we're happy to provide the services for those that are. And in case, or in terms of supporting this software as well, some of our clients that are attending today are some of our supported clients for QuoteWorks. You'll be happy to know that the Procurement Express team have great customer testimonials in being able to provide support to clients. And also, with it being a web software, there's no need to have to dive into back ends of databases and things like that, like we do with QuoteWorks. So it's very much the case that it's a reliable system. You'll be rest assured that it works whenever you need it. And if not, there's an excellent support team there to back you up, as we do with QuoteWorks. So I hope it's something of interest that some of you would like to continue forward. If you know any of your clientele or any possible business connections to your company that may also have an interest in Procurement Express, we'd be happy to have a conversation with them. And as always, we're available through our sales email if there's any questions.
Excellent. Music to my ear, Brandon. I love hearing someone else say all that good stuff. All right, well, let's wrap it up. Thanks very much for everyone attending. I love webinars. I think they're great crack, as we say in Dublin. So thanks for coming, and I'll look forward to speaking to you all soon.
Absolutely, and same from me. Thank you very much for everyone for attending.